It's in the vicinity of that boundary. The winds that this storm is in down low, the surface winds are out of the southeast. And I don't want to use this word, but I hate southeast winds because it really induces low-level shear. So this storm is in an environment where it wouldn't take much for it to spin a little bit more for it to produce a tornado. I think what we may see, if this storm can stay in place or active in the next couple of hours when the low-level jet stream winds kick in, then this storm might get a little bit more robust. Does it happen in 20 minutes? Does it happen in an hour? The other thing is there's a pool of very high humidity that actually the storm is in. So if you get in OKC, like the dew points are in the lower 70s, but you get out in your hydro in Hinton, the dew point is legit 75 degrees. And like Damon said, it was very hot over in western Oklahoma today. So there's a lot of hidden energy for this storm. I think one thing we're going to have to do is watch the storm down near Cordell to go up, maybe become a supercell, the storm to the west of that. And then after that, what will likely happen, there's another front in northern Oklahoma, and that front, we're getting some storms up in Enau. The winds up here are out of the northeast. I'm not worried about tornado risk yet, but we'll see a complex of storms snowball into OKC later tonight between about, I think by 3 a.m. they're near Stillwater. They come into OKC about 6. Now, I don't think those are going to have a supercell tornado risk, but I think what they will have is one of those hybrid setups where you have, you would call it a QLCS tornado. They're little spin ups on the line. So OKC, even though this storm way out here near hydro is not coming in, we're going to have to watch for storms later tonight. That's future us can worry about that, right, Damon? That's a ways out. We got many hours.
It certainly is. And the way that at least tonight might go, 6-8 hours from now might feel like an eternity based off of just dealing with these isolated supercells first, because it certainly looks like we're going to be dealing with at least 2 threats, the risk that we have out there right now, and then another threat that's going to come in here much later tonight. Let me go out to Amanda Benton here again. Amanda, did you have some hail that you were just holding up just a second ago?
Yes, Damon. Finally, the hail has came into the city of Hydro here, and David just measured it. It was 2.11 inches, and so we're definitely getting the hail inside of town. Still keeping an eye on any type of rotation out here, definitely. So, but heavy rain, and we were talking earlier, we haven't had hardly any lightning, if any at all, which is very odd. But heavy rain right now inside of the town of Hydro and hail, Damon.
Just so I want to make sure I heard you right. Amanda, did you say 2.1 inches of hail?
Yes.
Okay.
2.11 is what David just measured.
2.11. So that would be larger than like a lime. A lime's about 2 inches, so just a little bit larger. That's bigger than golf balls. So that's going to be some pretty big hail out of this. And this storm, because it is all out by itself right now, this is one of those isolated supercells where it is working with a tremendous amount of instability. There's not really much that's out there right now that is going to be stealing away from this. And so this storm is probably going to be one that's going to be long track. Hopefully it's not tornado warned long track, but we're prepared for that just with, with what we have out here. It is mid-June. And so while storm season may be changing a bit, we still have to watch it closely for a tornado risk. And so still finding that inflow crossing right over I-40. So hail core over hydro, rotation now south of I-40 here, but it's certainly picked up, especially that inbound wind there. And so this is continuing to strengthen for Weatherford. This is going to stay east of you and then eventually drop down to the south. Right now, we're over some county land here, and so tracking this down towards eventually Luqueba, Eakly, Albert. This is going to stay east of Clinton and Weatherford. This is coming into Sickles here at 827, Eakly 828. Alfalfa 842, Albert there at 847. This is going to be I-40 as you come right up to Weatherford here. So we're now going to be southeast of Weatherford, but this storm is dropping due south. This is our first tornado warning of the evening here. This tornado warning goes until 8:15. So right now, this tornado warning that we have here, it's an isolated supercell. As we go later into the night, we're going to anticipate that this storm is probably going to have tennis ball. This storm is probably going to, our tornado threat is probably going to have more of these brief spin-ups. Let's go back out to Amanda. Amanda, did you just say that you all now have tennis ball size hail?
Yes, Damon. We have had some tennis ball that we've sighted, and then, of course, just a lot of different sizes, anywhere from the one we told you about, the 2-inch hail a while ago, but we definitely saw some tennis ball size hail drop here inside of Hydro, Damon.
Wow, tennis ball size hail. That's an increase. And what that tells us is that this storm is not weakening right now. It is continuing to strengthen as it is dropping down to the south. And so it went from golf balls to now tennis ball size hail. That's your couplet. That's your tornado warning right here. This is I-40, so we're going to be east of Weatherford, east of Clinton, and this storm right now is not tracking towards OKC. It is tracking down to the south, and so this tornado warning goes until 8:15. That's still about another 20 minutes or so. Right now we're over some open land, but man, this storm is still spinning as it's dropping down to the south. And so we're going to have to watch this as well as other storms out there. For the time being, this is the only warning that we currently have. Now, we may not be that far away from additional warnings. There's been a cluster storms up in Garfield County that are not really all that impressive. And then these storms out here down by Butler and as you go out towards Elk City that are definitely picking up a lot more intensity there, especially down by Cordell. So, oh, look at that. See that blue line right there, by the way? That would indicate probably, well, let me see. Yeah, I was checking to see if that's a hail spike or not. Bottom line, we know this storm is dropping some big time hail, tennis ball size hail, and that inflow notch, it's definitely getting a bit more pronounced there. I mean, it is running right over I-40 and then now dropping down to the south here. So that's your circulation. That's why this tornado warning was issued. Now, again, Amanda, she's looking right into this. She's been on this storm since it was a tiny little cell there up by Thomas. Hasn't, nothing has dropped out of this. It's still Doppler radar indicated. Nothing's on the ground. But should anything reach the ground on this one, man, we're going to know it the second it happens because Amanda and Dave, they have eyes right on this. And again, also tennis ball size hail. That was a report that Amanda just passed along to us here just moments ago. So this is a healthy supercell. It's all out by itself. It kind of feels like a bit of a rarity because this time of the year, usually we're talking big clusters of storms. And so, but this is not it. This is an isolated supercell that has a ton of instability to work with. Instability levels today are way up here. Southeasterly winds, they're up there as well. And so, and thanks to these morning storms, there was a little bit of we'll just call it like a mini front that's right across the north that this storm is able to go off of. Basically, this storm has everything it needs to hang around for a bit. And right now, 755, the winds are just in the right direction here for this thing to likely persist. And look at that black there popping up on the radar. That's easy to see why there's tennis ball size hail. We are definitely getting it out of this here. So once again, east of Weatherford, isolated supercell. Hydro, man, I mean, Hydro, you took that storm, that hail core right over you. Hydro, the sirens are probably still sounding because you're still in this tornado warning, although at this moment, the circulation has dropped down to the south. It's just kind of meandering. It's almost looking like it's walking. Jonathan, I can't imagine this is moving very quickly, probably about 15 miles per hour or so, but it's an isolated supercell, tornado warning. What do you see from the radar?
Yeah, the National Weather Service has it at 25. I don't know if it's really going that fast. I like it when the storm track is a little bit faster than slower because it gives people more advanced time. When I throw in that storm track for 25, you get a little quicker time, or your time is shorter, so it gives a sense of urgency. I will say the storm, the fact that it's producing tennis ball size hail and it's so tall, there was a second there on radar, and that's why I put that little line right here. This is the general area circulation notice, man. They're right there. If this thing produces a tornado, I mean, they have a clear view right into the inflow notch. This is the mesocyclone is right here. It's lofting that tennis ball size hail up. Now it's a little bit backwards. A lot of times you think, okay, if this is supercell, it's heading south. The hail will be in the forward flank this way, but it's actually back on the east side. That's a big inflow notch. Back here, it looks like east 1030 and north 2440. Right in here, this is where for a second there, I'm like, oh, that looks really impressive. Not a good thing on radar. And now Amanda's dropping south. But that circulation kind of weakened just a touch. One thing that I'm a little bit concerned about, and maybe Amanda can talk to us about that, is I'm looking at their live stream and I see a big bowl, so it's a big wall cloud, and to me, it doesn't look that high off the ground. That's another variable when it comes to tornado genesis that we're looking at. And so, okay, so we have a wall cloud, we have a supercell, it's producing tennis ball size hail. How low to the ground is it? Now, if it's, let's say, 5,000 feet off the ground, it can take a long time for a funnel to condensate all the way down. But I feel the cloud base is pretty low, the wall cloud is pretty low. So if it drops something, I think it's gonna happen pretty quick. Now I notice like right now, Damon, I'm looking at Amanda's shot here and there's like a little something, little swirl there. Maybe, I don't know if that's a funnel, but it's in the right spot.
Yeah.
I think that's a possible developing funnel dropping on the left-hand side of the wall cloud. And so this kind of ties into the circulation kind of tightening up there for a minute.
Yeah.
So,
we're up in the upper left-hand side there. As a matter of fact, let's go full with Amanda Benton's shot here because as Jonathan did a good job of explaining, the cloud bases are definitely low enough today to where the atmosphere still needs to do some work to drop a tornado, but it doesn't need to do much work here. Wow, this thing is just massive. Amanda, any lowerings that look like it's picking up here with the storm?
Yeah, Damon, we just kind of got ourselves oriented. We stopped here. We drove south. Not much has changed from since we were watching it in hydro. We still are watching that rotation. I don't think it has, to us, has not, it's not any faster than it was. It hasn't really changed that much in the past 30 minutes. We were just kind of talking about that, but we are watching it. We can definitely see what Jonathan was talking about, that it has got a little bit lower to the ground, the wall cloud. But right now, Damon, there's still some rotation, but nothing on the ground right now.
Okay, I mean, you guys are looking right into the heart of this thing, so you will definitely know the second that this thing drops a tornado. But we do get into the time of the year where once you start getting these really hot days and the humidity begins to lower, then these clouds get much higher in the sky. And so it takes a lot of energy for these storms to be able to produce a tornado. But today we had the rain, we had the humidity, and so the cloud bases are low enough. I mean, this is a day that in May would certainly be pretty impressive. And so it's even more so right now here in mid-June that, we're getting a big supercell like this that is dropping down to the south, and it's dropping some big hail right now, still making its way south of Hydro. But just look at this entire storm. I mean, this right here, when you think of a supercell in Oklahoma in springtime, I mean, it does not get almost any more textbook than what we see right here. This thing is big. And so it's still tracking down to the south. And so we're still about 2 counties west of Oklahoma City here. Did they just drop the... No. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I was like, wait a second. Okay. So tornado warning obviously still remains. In fact, Jonathan was going back there before the storm was tornado warned. And this thing, as soon as it went up, right around 6:15, 6:30, it was already showing signs of rotation. And now here it is an hour later, and it is still spinning down towards Eakley, dropping down south of I-40 here. The dynamics that we have out there for today, instability, check. Humidity, dew points, check. And so in southeasterly winds and southerly winds that are feeding into the storm right here, we have that as well. So right now, again, this storm still is the only warned storm that we have in the state. I know that we will see a lot more later tonight. So it's Sickles, 841. Eakley, 844, still dropping it down to the south here. Alfalfa, 903, Washita, 941, Anadarko at 956 with this storm. And again, we're still going to be pretty south of, or we're going to be a couple miles south of I-40. Actually, let's show the bigger picture real quick. If you're just now getting home and you're saying like, hey, Damon, where are these storms? Are they coming towards us? No. Central Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, this is not moving towards you. This is dropping down to the south. There are a couple little showers there, storms that are going to be in southeastern Garfield County. Other storms as well down by Corn and out towards Foss. We're going to be well west, east of Weatherford here, in between Weatherford and El Reno, but that storm is pointing straight down to the south. Now, we are going to watch additional storms go up here in just a little bit. As a matter of fact, we'll come back to Amanda. Let me check in with Storm Command. Michael, I know they don't look like much on the radar right now in Garfield County, but that's another area that we're watching later this evening. Michael, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, Damon, I would agree. These storms are not supercells yet that are up here, up north, just to the east of Enid, kind of moving over toward Perry. We do have a lot of indications that this area is going to see a lot of storms here a little bit later. As Jonathan was talking about the low-level jet interacting, the boundary comes right up toward Highway 51 here, in between Hennessy and Perry and Stillwater. So it remains to be seen how intense these storms get, but we do have indications that this area is going to see a lot of thunderstorm activity, probably quite a few severe storms as well. Not sure how the tornado risk will evolve up in this part of the state, but this area is in an area outlook by the Storm Prediction Center for the possibility of tornadoes. It's a low risk, but it is there.
It certainly is. It's a low risk, but just like we're seeing right now with this storm that's going to be out by Weatherford, it's a risk that we have to watch nonetheless. So we'll continue to watch Michael's shot here, look over all the data that we have coming in as we go into the next couple of hours now. As of right now, from what I'm seeing in the latest data, I mean, if you're watching in the OKC Metro, it could be hours before storms come in here. But we do have this tornado warning here. And so where are we? Top of your television screen. That's going to be Weatherford. So we are going to be south of Weatherford with this storm. And it is moving due south. I know you think, supercells this time of the year, they move from west to east, but the setup that we have for this weekend, it's a bit different. The upper level winds are not that strong, and because of that, that's going to allow these storms to almost just kind of drift slowly down to the south. And so that's what we're watching here right now. Again, we are going to be southeast of Weatherford, and so tracking this down to Eakly, Alfalfa, Carnegie, and then coming into Washita there at 8:41. Again, bigger picture. This is not moving towards Oklahoma City. This is moving down to the south. And it will continue to do that. It would take a lot of energy for this storm to all of a sudden swing hard to the right and go east here. It doesn't look like it's doing that. Other additional storms that are going up, what's that, Jonathan?
Well, I think this storm down near Cordell and Cloud Chief, I think it's starting to turn a little bit. We use the Doppler part, right? That's the velocity part, that's the winds, and it doesn't look very good there. But I'm just telling you, it's starting to develop a little kink. That right there is the developing of an inflow notch. Again, these storms are going to look a little bit different. They're not moving east or northeast, which they typically do. These are moving more to the south. Now, when they first go up, they're caught up kind of the low-level winds, so maybe they're moving more to the east-southeast, but once they get more mature, they'll start to turn on us a little bit. But I'm just telling you, like this storm, it's not severe yet, but that's going to probably be our next severe thunderstorm warning. I think it'll probably get some hail in it and then some winds. So I know we're watching the tornado warning. Amanda's on it. Like if it produces something, it's going to be literally in their 360 cam and you're going to have the best view ever. But this storm right here, little tiny inflow notch, and that's how they all begin, right? They start as first contact, one little blip, and they start growing, then they get mature, and then that one has a little inflow notch. So that's going up. And then the one out near Stratford is the next storm down the line. We'll watch it. It doesn't look as, I think the southern storm will have more inflow and it will steal the show. That Stratford storm could go severe, but tornado risk, we'll see. But I think obviously the Amanda storm is the most robust one.
Yeah, and it looks like based off of what we're seeing right now on radar is that all of our areas of rotation are likely going to be on the left side or the west side of the storm here. So it's going to look a little different as they're dropping down to the south based off of what you're probably used to seeing in April and May. So again, this is moving due down to the south, headed towards Eakly at 8:43, Swan Lake, and then Alfalfa there at 9 o'clock. On top of your television screen, this is I-40. This is Weatherford right here. And so we are well southeast of Weatherford and definitely over some rural land here with this cell as it is moving down to the south here. So let me go back out to Amanda. Amanda, still have plenty of daylight on this storm. Your visuals into this are spectacular. What are you seeing right now from where you are there, Amanda?
Yeah, Damon, we just dropped back down south here on 58 to get out of the way of the hill because it is coming, and we'd already had some golf balls falling where we were just 3 miles south of Hydro on 58. But as we were there, definitely David was noticing that the rotation had maybe picked up a little bit, and it probably had been the best we have seen all day on this storm. But still don't have anything on the ground. We are definitely watching it. We have the best view out here of this storm, and we're going to let you know if we see a funnel, tornado, whatever it is. We're going to let you know, Damon.
Yeah, your shot. I mean, this right here is probably what a lot of photographers would take a picture of and then blow it up and put it in their office. I mean, that right there is quite the picture that we have coming in from Amanda, coming in from Dave right now. They're pulling off here, and so I can see a little bit of traffic there, but right now, this is going to be where the circulation is. Again, we're south of I-40, Weatherford, you're okay. Bridgeport, Hydro, the hail core went right over town, dropped anywhere from golf balls to tennis balls. That was confirmed from Amanda and Dave. And now we're watching this inflow notch right here. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, about 4 miles south of I-40 and not moving very quickly. The amount of steering winds in the atmosphere today are just not very strong. So that's going to be one to watch. And we'll see if these storms out to the west end up messing up this storm or interacting with it in a bit here. But still plenty of time here. Still that rotation. Still over some open county roads here that we have. Yeah, definitely. This is persistent rotation. It has been persistent now for over an hour and a half. That's what an isolated supercell can do. It can rotate for a while until something messes it up. And right now there's nothing that's currently messing it up here. There are a couple areas of inflow, but it's strongest right now south of Hydro as this is slowly dropping down to the south here. And I mean, this is a real slow moving storm. All the pink that you see here on radar, that's going to be your tennis ball size hail. That was confirmed from Amanda and Dave here just moments ago. So here's what we're looking at right now is that just getting an update from the National Weather Service here on what they want to do with this storm. It sounds like they are leaning towards reissuing another tornado warning. This tornado warning is set to expire in about 5 minutes here, but it does appear that, I mean, just based off of how the storm looks, not only from inside the storm, from the data that we're seeing in it, that rotation, even though nothing has hit the ground yet, nothing has dropped, it's still pretty persistent, but just how massive this storm is right here. I mean, this is a big one, but stay tuned. We're going to find out in just a few minutes here what the Weather Service ends up doing with this storm. If you're traveling on I-40 right now, if you saw the storm in front of you and said, I'm not going any farther, I'm going to stop in Weatherford, I'm going to stop in El Reno, there's still heavy enough of a core still right on top of I-40 that hang tight there if you're watching this right now online with this storm. While the largest of the hail is now dropping down to the south, this storm's still pretty impactful. So I would still hang tight for about another 30 minutes. Given just the slow moving nature of the storm, it's probably going to feel like it has taken forever to move out of here. So let me see if there's any new updates coming out of this storm here. Yeah, it's still dropping down to the south. What we have up in northern Oklahoma right now is nothing all that concerning. Really, this is the show. This is the main show that we have out there right now. And easy to see why, by the way, just given what we have out there. I mean, here's Oklahoma City again, OKC. You're okay with this storm. This storm is going to keep dropping down to the south. And so this will not bother us. For any storms that move in, given the way that the atmosphere is, we got to look up to the north. And so we've been seeing a couple storms trying to develop up by Enid, north of Guthrie. They haven't really done a whole lot. Let me check in here with Michael. Michael, I know what you're looking at right here doesn't look all that impressive. Do you see any storms that are currently in the early stages of development where you are?
I'm starting to see at least a few indications of some development that's going to be a little bit west of the complex that was developing a bit earlier that's kind of falling apart. It's moving over toward Perry. There's some brand new development. I have my camera pointed in that direction. I know you got the kind of the sun starting to set there, but you can see how it's getting a little bit darker under that. So we're seeing a few showers develop. This may be an indication of what's going to come here in just a little bit. I mean, again, we keep going back to our high resolution data, and all indicates that there's going to be a large cluster of storms that develops east of Enid, around Enid, over toward Ponca, Stillwater, Perry, and then those would come south down toward Guthrie and the metro. So that hasn't really happened yet, but we still have indications that that will happen.
Yeah, we're going to be looking late into the evening and well into the overnight for additional storms. By the way, A tornado warning will be reissued here. Just got that update here just a second ago for this storm that's going to be south of Hydro. And you know, definitely with the persistent rotation that we see on radar, and it's been doing this. It has been doing this now for well over 90 minutes. Right about 6:30, we saw it. It quickly, you know, went warned, and this thing has been moving down to the south. Now, Amanda and Dave are still just looking right into this storm here, and with the sun that is illuminating the sky there, I mean, you're going to have the clearest visuals of this storm and whether or not it drops a tornado or not, based off of where Amanda and Dave currently are right now as they're looking into the storm. I mean, this is pretty persistent. It's only about a mile west of them there. There's Amanda, there's Dave. And by the way, the new tornado warning didn't really go that much farther down to the south, which whenever you see small additions to a tornado warning like this right here, I mean, it's only what, 2 or 3 miles extra. That means that the storm is moving really, really slow. And so let me see the latest. How fast is it moving, Jonathan?
15.
15, yeah.
So they slowed it down before it's 25, and that's why I was pulling the radar back because I didn't think it was 25, and I drew the radar back, manually drew where the mesocyclone was in 30 minutes, measured it, and then you double that distance and you get your speed. And yeah, I'm glad they lowered the speed. So it's crawling. I mean, 15 miles an hour. It's not 40, but 15 almost due south.
And why that's important to you is that if you're living in Sickles or Eakly or Swan Lake or Albert or Washita or Fort Cobb, this gives you a lot of time to prepare for this storm. Not only is it tornado warned and moving very, very slowly, let me double check on the hail sizes here. They're still going for bigger than golf balls out of this. Now, we know that we've already had tennis ball size hail out of this. That came in from Amanda moments ago when this storm was walking out of Hydro. And now it's walking down to the south here. So once again, tornado warning here. Weatherford is going to be on the very top of your television screen. So Weatherford, this is moving away from you. There are other storms that are firing here from Cloud Chief out towards Foss and Clinton. We'll see how these storms, if they can drift close enough to this, that could, mess things up a bit. But as of right now, there's definitely a lot of separation, and this storm has a bit of an inflow there just west of Cloud Chief and as you go southeast of Cordell. Not warned, but we're watching it. Let me go back out to Amanda. Amanda, this storm, it is a slow mover, and I'm just in awe by the visuals that y'all have into the storm right here, really helping those downstream plan on what they need to do. How's the storm look from where you are there, Amanda?
Yeah, Damon, amazing. It's a classic supercell. We've got a great visual on this. We kind of think it's got a little bit better organized, actually. So we have got our eyes right on it. We're watching it. We are just 4 to 5 miles south of Hydro on Highway 58. We pulled off. We're about a mile, I would say, west on road here. But we've got our eyes on it. But like I said, we think it's probably getting a little bit better organized, but it is moving very slow. So everyone they will have a kind of a heads up as this thing moves on down, Damon.
Yeah, this is going to be a storm that is going to hang out in Caddo County for a while here as it continues to slowly move down. And if you were able to see, like if you had a really wide angle lens camera here, I mean, this is what photographers would be taking pictures of. This would be in every single, severe storm textbook when you look at just what this storm looks like right here. A bunch of rain shafts that you see coming down there, probably some hail cores up in that as well. Amanda, they're panning the camera around right now, and it's so big. I mean, it is so incredibly big right now that it's very difficult to get the whole thing in the shot, but they're panning way up into the sky here as it's continuing to move down to the moving down to the south. So once again, Weatherford, you're okay with this storm. It's now moving down to your south, moving away from you. We're still over a bunch of county roads here that are, let's see here, dropping down towards Eakly, Lukiba, west of Binger. Other additional storms are going up as well out to the west, but this is the only warning that we have right now. And so it's Sickles at 8:42, Albert 9:18, Washita and Fort Cobb right before 10 o'clock with this cell. And it's a big one. It is absolutely a big one. The rotation still continues just about 1 to 2 miles west here. Let's see, State Highway 58, again, just west of State Highway 58. Jonathan, I mean, when you think about storms and the plains out here, and you look at what the structure of this storm looks like, this is a big one for sure as it's dropping down to the south. It hasn't weakened much, but it hasn't strengthened a whole lot either. But this is persistent on the radar. What do you see from the radar desk there?
Yeah, so one thing besides the tornado risk there, Damon, is the hail risk. This is a very tall storm. Echo tops go well up to 58,000 feet. That's a very tall storm. So if it's producing, the storm to be that tall and have a mesocyclone that strong, I mean, it's just going to be pumping up some big hail. So the hail is going to be on the backside of it, and then the circulation is pretty strong. One thing that you'll notice, and we can talk to Amanda again, and I think we saw that just a second ago. They're looking down, like they get it, like as a storm chaser, you're looking down low, you're looking at the wall cloud, and you're looking for little eddies and little funnels coming down, but holy cow, you can, like, when they take the wide view and they look up, you can see the stacked plates, the striations, right? It's like a barber's pole and just goes up and up and up. And that tells you that the storm is really well organized from the bottom all the way up. Now, overall, I mean, there's nothing impeding the storm. There's nothing in front of it to interrupt it. Now, there is a storm down near Cloud Chief, and we'll have to see what happens with that. Does this storm, as it goes up, go a little bit more to the right before it dips south, and does it impact? There's a pretty big separation between those two storms. There's almost a 20-mile separation. So I still think we have a pretty big window here. The warning goes until 8:45, so that's plenty of time for the storm to cycle. And that's what it's doing. It just kind of goes up, it goes down, and the circulation gets a little spun up, a little bit tighter. And I'm talking about the mesocyclone, the engine of the storm. The engine, mesocyclone, isn't always synonymous with tornado, right? So again, this is what I'll show you. We'll highlight the area of circulation, and somewhere in there the tornado would form. It's literally a mile away. That's where Amanda and Dave are at right now. So again, they're right there. They're in a really good spot. They have a perfect road to track it all the way down to Eakley. But I think, again, we just have to watch because it's such an intense supercell. And again, if it produces anything, they're visually going to see it at close intercept range.
It's still showing that area of spin right here. And so the rotation has been fluctuating, but it's been pretty persistent for almost 2 hours now. Control room, I know that you got some video in here just moments ago, or some picture. This is what the storm looks like. This came in from Amanda just seconds ago, and she was like, okay, look, I'm going to take a wide angle picture of this just so y'all can see it, because this is just wow. I mean, I am, sometimes you just, a picture speaks all the words and you just become speechless. And just look at this storm. This is that storm. This is from Amanda and Dave right now. They just snapped this just seconds ago. And I'm sure that this storm right here is probably going to flood social media this evening, and you're going to see it all over your feed, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. It is going to be on there. This is Oklahoma in June, right here. Just look at that thing, and you can just see those striations here. That is definitely signs of a healthy supercell that's dropping some big hail and is tornado warned. Now, whether or not this storm remains tornado warned until 10 o'clock or not, time will tell. We're just going to have to watch it here, because there has been at least some fluctuations with the with the intensity here, but it's still rotating. You see a bit of an inflow notch here. And by the way, this is I-40 southeast of Weatherford here, and so there's Luqueba, there's Hinton. This is going to be in Caddo County here, and dropping down to the south here. It's still over some open land. And so it's still a ways away from Sickles. It's still about 20 minutes away. Sickles, it's a lot closer than I know the timeline would tell you, because it is moving that slow, 15 miles per hour. That's pretty slow, but that just goes to show you that while we do have a lot of things that can produce tornado warnings this time of the year, we don't have everything, and the upper level winds are not that strong. Eakley 857. Alfalfa 923, Albert 923 as well. Fort Cobb down to Carnegie here at about 9:55 with this storm as it continues to drop down to the southeast. So this tornado warning remains for another 22 minutes. Right now it's only moving at 15 miles per hour. It is moving away from Weatherford, Hydro, Hinton, and Bridgeport. It's also going to stay at this current track. At least it's moving away from the OKC Metro. It would take a lot from Mother Nature to all of a sudden just change it and move it eastbound. It's still moving down to the south. So for OKC, we're doing okay. Look out in the western sky. I know you can see the storm. It's a big one as it continues to drop some pretty large hail. That's all the pink that you see here on the radar. That hail core is now moving south of I-40 here. And so it's Colony down to Sickles and over as of right now, rural Caddo County, but I know that land belongs to someone. And so we're here to make sure that you know exactly what's going on. Look at, that's your large hail, by the way, as we cut into this storm here. Jonathan, I love it when you do this, by the way. You can just see the path that large hail is taking as it falls down here.
Right, that's one of the tools that we have. And so one thing that I'll look for is, that hail core, that black hail core, how far up is that being suspended in the radar? And so I'll kind of pull the radar back and we'll kind of look at the intensity of the updraft, how strong is it? And that hail is still suspended up at about, and these are increments of 10,000 feet. So where you see my cursor, that's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, then those equitops go up to about 40,000. So there's still, and it may not look quite like in the latest scan, I will say this, the velocity does not look as strong as it did a couple scans ago. The hook doesn't look, the inflow notch doesn't look as strong as it did, but it's still lofting up a pretty big hail core up there. Now I think the National Weather Service was talking about dropping the hail sizes, and I understand that, but the storm, a lot of times, when they're in their collapsing stages, sometimes they can drop all that hail that's suspended aloft can fall and hit the ground. The hook is actually, if you look at it, it's way back on the backside now, Damon. Before it was a little bit more kind of up front. It was a little bit more of a road beast, but it's kind of dragging. And look at that last scan. That inflow notch has weakened a little bit. So, may want to check in with Amanda. I'm looking at the wall cloud. I can't tell if there's an RFD cut on the backside and it's trying to rotate a little bit more. But what I'm seeing on radar on reflectivity and velocity, it may be a slight downward tick. I love that. That's really good. That's a slight downward trend. Hopefully the storm just keeps on heading that way and falls apart.
Oh, absolutely. I hope it does too. Look, I mean, it's Saturday night. I know you have a lot of things that you want to do, and the last thing that we probably want to have to worry about are storms out there, but still watching the hail core up inside of this storm may not be as vibrant as what we saw a couple minutes ago. That could certainly indicate a downward trend in the hail size. It's still pretty big though. Let me check in with Amanda. Amanda, how does the storm look from where you are right now? Does it look stronger, weaker, maintaining? What are you seeing right now?
Well, Damon, definitely maintaining, if maybe possibly getting a little bit stronger. Right to our if you can see the kind of that rain shaft, and right to the right of that is the area we are watching. We did see, a little bit more rotation, some uprising motion, and we're definitely got an eye on this, and maybe a little bit more concerned than we were earlier, Damon. So we're definitely keeping an eye on it. And if we see anything, we'll definitely let you know. I
mean, visually easy to see why with this storm here. And so we're going to continue to monitor this storm real closely here. Again, it's the only warning that we have out there as we speak, but it's a tornado warning. This storm has now been rotating now for about 2 straight hours. So we're going to continue to watch that as it's moving southbound here and coming. It's not going to make its way towards OKC here. Now, speaking of central Oklahoma, later tonight, what's going to happen? We're now in the time of the day where we get some data that rolls in here just about every single hour, and there's still been a pretty persistent signal for storms that will move in to the OKC Metro. But in order for us to see storms here in Oklahoma City, we need to look up to the north, and we're talking like up towards Enid and in that vicinity. That's where we have Storm Command right now. Let me check in with Michael, and then we'll come back to the storm here in just a second here. Michael, what are you watching right now for the next few hours, and what's the data showing you for what OKC needs to watch out for?
Yeah, so there's a boundary that's up here across northern Oklahoma. I think what has happened, Damon, is the big storm that down there that Amanda and Dave have been covering has put out a very large cirrus anvil that kind of is covered over this area, blocked it from the sun a little bit. But now we're starting to see more and more development in and around the Enid area. Also, even have some development southeast of Hennessy. And so that's actually further south from even where we are, just northwest of Crescent also. So this whole cluster here, I expect to intensify over the next, I would say, hour, maybe it might be a little bit shorter than that. We'll see. I mean, this is brand new development, so we'll just see how fast it goes up. Right now, it hasn't been rapidly intensifying, but it is in an area that looks like it's going to be favorable for storms to get going here around Garfield County, just north of Kingfisher and Guthrie. And the thing about it is that these storms will have a tendency to probably move south. They might move east initially, but they'll probably turn right and come down toward the metro.
Yeah, we're seeing those returns, by the way, right now. They're not anything too, massive right now. They're still pretty early here, but here's Oklahoma City. Here's Crescent, Dover. Here's going to be Stillwater here. So these are the early stages of storms that are beginning to develop. So for OKC, we would need to look up into the northern sky for our storm threat, and we're beginning to see those echoes here. It's still early on in storm development, but a lot of the data has been pretty consistent that we would see a cluster of storms that would go up north of the metro and would eventually drop down to the south. And it may come in two waves. We may get one shot that comes in here, right, say between about 9 and 11. And it looks like that's what's happening with these cells right here. And then additional storms that, would come in here real late tonight. And we're talking like 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. It would certainly be a while here. And that would have more of a, like a brief tornado threat. But important to note, brief does not mean weak, so we would have to watch that one closely. So here we are, once again, watching a supercell that's still all out by itself. And there has been at least a couple changes that we have seen on the radar, but it's still dropping some pretty big hail, still warned for ping pong ball size hail, and it's continuing to drop down to the south. So here's the OKC Metro. You're looking up to the north, El Reno, Tuttle. Well, that storm is out to your west, and it's dropping down to the south right now and continues to drop down to almost going down to the southwest here. So that's a big one. The hail cores don't look as bright out there like we had before. Still dropping some big hail there still as it's going right down Highway 58, and it's making a run down towards the Eakly. We would love it if this storm would just, fall off the radar here, but it is still mid-June, June 14th to be exact. So it's still tornado season here in Oklahoma. Rotation still about 2 miles to the west of Highway 58, well north of Eakly here. And so with the storm that's basically walking at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. It's not moving very fast. Upper level winds just aren't quite there today. It's going to take a while before it even comes into Eakly. Are there any cities in this tornado warning polygon? I had to step off here. I don't know.
Well, it's not on the polygon, but it'd be in the path of the storm.
Yeah, Eakly is in the path here. So Eakly right now, 9/11. This warning goes until 8:45. So Eakly, I know it's going to feel like it's taken a while for this storm to come in. That gives you plenty of time to prepare. Technically, this polygon's over rural northern Caddo County, but the land belongs to somebody here. So we're here for you. 935 Swan Lake, Alfalfa. 944 Fort Cobb to Carnegie. 1025 to 1026 with this storm. Let me go back out to Amanda. Amanda, this is a slow-moving storm, gives people plenty of time to prepare as it moves in. What are you seeing right now with this storm?
Yeah, Damon, we have been sitting here watching this and definitely could see some rising motion into it. One thing we have noticed, and we don't know if it's kind of where we're sitting, our perspective right now, but it seems to have maybe the basis kind of shrunk a little bit. And we were noticing the hill reports here on Highway 58 and up to I-40 that they had decreased. So we saw some maybe up to quarters or less. So we have noticed a little bit of decrease. That was just hail reports on Highway 58, but maybe this thing is maybe deciding to wind down. I don't know. We're just kind of watching it, but we don't see the rotation like we were earlier. So we are seeing some, but not as strong as it was earlier, Damon.
And you know what? You're right. Something that, in mid-June, you just have to take these storms, minute by minute, and that's exactly what we're doing. And so it does appear that at least the black that we saw on the radar here earlier when it was up by hydro, when it was dropping tennis ball size hail, that's starting to at least dissipate a bit. Now, it's still a pretty beefy storm here. This one's still, absolutely one that I don't want to be in front of, but equally, you're the next in the path here at 9/11. And so let's hope it is no longer tornado warned as it comes in here. There are definitely a bunch of storms that are out there right now, but there's enough separation between all of them that, they could still pack a punch here. Now, there's been a good amount of decrease in storms there out by Clinton and Arapahoe. And then we've seen the one out by Foss. That's been kind of ramping up here. So one went down. And then one looks like it probably flared up as it's interacting with some of the winds with that storm that fizzled out by Clinton put out here. So this is kind of the nature of mid-June storms, where you can get some storms that pulse up and then some that pulse down. You might have one or two that hang around for a bit. And so these are now the next storms that are going up here. Man, there's a bunch of them now going up. It's only been a few minutes since we last talked to Michael, and all of a sudden the radar looks much different here. There's a flare up there by Enid and Wacomas. And then there's a flare up there in northwestern Logan County, northeastern Kingfisher County. Let me go back out to Michael here. Michael, definitely looks like a lot of storms now flaring up, kind of surrounding you right now. Michael, what do you see from Storm Command?
I do kind of feel surrounded. Funny you say that. So the storm near Enid just had a lightning strike, cloud to ground lightning strike, and the one south of us down near Crescent also had a cloud to ground lightning strike also. We're just going to drop south just because I expect the motion to be more to the south, and the storm that's already down by Crescent is going to be headed that way. We'll probably go ahead and have Nick Smith work his way up toward Okarche and Kingfisher up Highway 81, because eventually these storms are going to go ahead and mature and start heading south. Also, talk to Shane Helton. He's going to be getting out over near Enid here in just a little bit as well. So we'll have all of our crews out, Damon. I'll be watching this very closely. But yeah, northern Oklahoma, things are starting to light off, just like I talked to you about. Like I think it's interesting because I said just a moment ago, I don't know if it's going to happen in the next 5 minutes or the next hour, but we definitely expect development up here, and it's happening now.
And that's what happens this time of the year. I mean, look, we're all degreed meteorologists here, and so we study, we look at the dynamics in the atmosphere. We knew there's a threat, and there's always, a threat out there, but we have the dynamics in place here, and so it's why our crews are out watching these. And so now we're just waiting for a couple different waves to take off. We have this wave. This is wave number one. Wave number two is in the early stages of developing as well. But we definitely know that all night long there will be kind of a persistent tornado threat. It's low, but it's not zero. So far, this has been the only tornado warning that we have had out there this evening. And Amanda's been looking right into it. And she's like, hey, look, this thing has looked like a classic supercell, but nothing's touched the ground here. And so this storm, we're hoping that it can do what the other storms are doing out to the west, and that is it can show signs of weakening. It may be coming down in intensity, but it's coming down from like being way up here, dropping tennis balls, and now it's here, still dropping ping pong balls. So we got to watch the trends closely here. We know what the atmosphere can do. It's doing it right now, and we're watching additional storms going up right now as well with this cell here. Definitely the inflow notch is into it. They're not the type that you would, typically see in the springtime where you have, just a supercell and looks like a big kidney bean and all that stuff, and it's just going. This is a bit different as it's dropping down to the south. Rotation is still there on radar. I almost feel like it's kind of nearly stationary. It may be coming down in intensity here because look at the last couple of minutes. Look at all that bright pink on the radar, and then look at it now. So that would definitely be a trend with this storm beginning to weaken. Still doing it though. I mean, it's still warning. Looks like a brand new severe thunderstorm warning was just issued. Are they dropping the tornado warning on this one? Yes, they are going to be dropping the tornado warning. That's the message that we just got in here just moments ago from the Weather Service, is that the current plan is to replace a tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning. And it looks like that new warning, by the way, that just came out, didn't really take it that much farther south. Still warned for golf balls and 60, and it's now moving south at 10 miles per hour. That's it. I mean, some people can run faster than that. So that right there, that is not a fast moving storm. Jonathan, what are you seeing?
Here's the deal with this storm. I just went back like a half hour. Like there's the inflow notch.
Yep.
30 minutes ago, right? It moved. The wall cloud, I feel like on the back side of it has almost anchored. It's moved maybe 2 miles in the last 30 minutes. Now that being said, here's one thing. I know Amanda and Dave are going to watch this. Sometimes, and we've seen this, when these storms are going through they go to, they initiate, they go up, they mature, they peak, and then they start to weaken. Sometimes when those storms are starting to weaken, they can spin up really quick at the very end. Dave and Amanda are right there. They're watching it. If it produces a funnel, they're going to let us know. But that's just something we're not 100% out of the woods just yet. I'm liking the trends. I'm liking the hail sizes are going down. I don't see a new developing mesocyclone, a new engine to the storm. We'll have to watch it. I like the trend, and it's being replaced with the severe thunderstorm warning. The tornado warning goes for another 6 minutes and 29 seconds to be exact. This is a really good trend. Back to the west, though, we'll have to watch these storms. And these storms back west, best analogy is kind of like whack-a-mole. Michael Armstrong, that's one of his original terms. You ever gone to the pizza video game place and play whack-a-mole, This one goes up, you bop it, goes down, the other one pops up. That's over near Stratford and Foss. And so I will say the Foss storm has gone up. There's a hail core just to the east. Let's see what these two do. If this flares up, breaks through, and becomes a dominant storm, we'll have to watch for that. Hail sizes, I think, are going up. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a warning on this storm impact, almost borderline severe. Yeah. That could be our next warning.
I was never that great. I was average at that game, by the way. Whack-a-mole here. But as a little kid, sometimes your patience just runs thin. Okay, so it looks like, if I'm reading this right, they went ahead and just dropped this tornado warning just a few minutes earlier. Again, it was set to expire at 8:45, but it says here, looks like they're going to go ahead and expire the tornado warning for Caddo in Ouachita County. Now, they did just issue a severe thunderstorm warning, and they is going to be the Weather Service just west of Clinton for quarter hail and winds of 60 miles per hour. Rightfully so, by the way. I mean, you can see just how vibrant that storm currently is right now between Canute and Clinton here, right on I-40. Man, I-40, I know it's a weekend here. People are traveling up and down I-40, but this is not a day that I would want to be out by I-40 with these storms that are out there. This storm right here, again, right on top of Foss, this warning is actually moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. So these storms right here continue to just kind of move in a bunch of different directions. This is moving northeast. This tornado warning is moving south, and other storms up north are moving south as well. So with the tornado warning dropped, we're going to send it back over to programming. We do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings out there right now for hail and winds. Should any tornado warnings be reissued, obviously we're going to be here with you. We'll be here all night long. Keep it with KOCO 5 News. We'll bring you the first alert.